Right then, amidst what's going on with Wayne Rooney, I think it would be time to look at the credentials of Wayne Rooney potentially becoming a future Manchester United manager. Now, the vacancy is going to be open in summer. There's a lot of strong talk about Pochettino. There's a lot of strong talk about Eric Ten Hag. But let's have a look at what Wayne Rooney could potentially offer and what is the job exactly that he's been doing at Derby. And we're going to look into it. So Wayne Rooney's had a surprisingly seamless transition into the world of management where he has shown a much more intellectual side than I think any of us would have given him credit for, especially when you compare this to his playing days. Obviously, I did a podcast with Rio, and I don't actually think it came across quite how excited Rio was about what he saw with Wayne Rooney. I think Rooney, we could probably all guess exactly what he was like in training. He would have been maybe a little bit poor concentration. Maybe you can see him like if there's any sort of long conversation, just going off new kick-ups. You can see him being extremely aggressive, and those give off the thoughts that he wouldn't be that much of a cerebral thinking kind of manager. But what Rio said he saw with his own eyes, and this is the important thing, is this isn't just looking at what the result is on a Saturday afternoon. Rio actually saw what he was like in training. He said he was very quiet, completely in control. He goes, and he was absolutely shocked at the Wayne Rooney that he saw on the training ground. He was like, he is just in command. He's in control. He goes, the message is perfect. And it looks like he's doing madness, and he's doing it despite some serious difficulties. Derby are one place off bottom and only 6 off safety after having a 21-point deduction. And it isn't just a 21-point deduction. They've also been absolutely clamped by financial fair play regulations, restrictions in terms of players that they're allowed to sign. They've been absolutely mullered, and they should have gone down. It's testament to the character of Wayne Rooney that there's been offers of jobs that he's just gone, not interested, got a job to complete, and he's cracking on and doing that job. No one would have forgiven him for leaving Derby. Derby fans aside, maybe. But he's diligently going about his work, and I am absolutely certain he's going to keep them up. They are flying at the moment. And they've lost just 8 games all season, which, it sounds like it's a lot, but in the English second tier, they're the only teams that have lost fewer games than him. If it wasn't for their point deduction that they've had, Rooney's side could have easily have been slap bang mid-table, which is well out of relegation zone, but it's also probably more than you would expect looking at the raw materials of Derby County's squad, which has been absolutely ravaged by the financial fair play regulations. Rooney's made enough of an impression in this short time to make him a consideration for Everton with the vacancy following the sacking of Rafa Benitez. And he declined the interview. He doesn't believe it's time for him to make the next step. And I tell you what, these are the things that are making me go, okay, I like the idea of this. He's not just rushed into it. Management's a long game. You're hopefully, if you're successful, going to be a manager for 30 years. You don't need to move on after 12 months. And I think despite what looks like an impossible job, I actually think Rooney is going to stave off relegation with a strong second half to the season. And I actually think that he's going to have a successful managerial career. Now, bridging the gap between keeping Derby up and managing Manchester United with the expectations of winning titles and challenging for the Champions League, there's a lot to fill in there. And that's where I want to see the progression and development of Wayne Rooney. He may end up being a manager that saves people from relegation. He may end up being a manager that can take a team from the bottom half of the table to the top half of the table. But it's a different skill set, mindset, and functionality to be able to take a team and have them performing and winning week in, week out. That is a different sort of thing. We know he had it as a player. Does he have it as a manager? Obviously still got things to see and to prove with that. Right then, SPITCH is the new Ultimate Football Fantasy Manager game that is on the market, and it is now available in UK and Ireland. You get to prove your managerial skills against other managers and win money. SPITCH lets you build your team from leagues ranging from the Premier League to the Champions League. They've got Bundesliga, they've got the Championship, and with SPITCH you can build a team, collect points and battle it out against other managers on the app. Play for free, compete against your friends, and even have a chance to win up to £70,000 on a weekly basis, and the rewards are not solely based on the whole season. Listen, I know it's like start the season, everyone gets all hyped up and excited about the fantasy league, and then you forget it one weekend in and you never go back to it. This one, you can even do a single match day for your competition, or you can challenge your friends, or you can do, let's do January, let's do this month, let's do this week. It's way better doing it this way. So check it out. Managers are allowed to choose from various formations. You have a budget of 150 million to assemble your team. You get points for tackles, clean sheets, goals, assists, passes, all the usual sort of stuff. There's nothing new there in terms of how fantasy football. We all know how fantasy football works. If you want to get in the mixer, then come get in the mixer. It's daily fantasy manager, which allows you to try it every single match day. You can create a brand new lineup and choose between players playing in that match day. So you're not going to get affected for ages if you've got players that have ended up injured. Forget them. Just do a new one on the day. They use a powerful statistical and analytical tool that helps the user select the very best players based on their weekly performances, and that's powered by Opta. And you can get it on the Google Play Store, in the iOS store, or even on the SPITCH website. Click the link in the description and come and get in the mixer, and you can win amazing prizes. Now, Rooney himself says, I believe I will be a Premier League manager and I am ready for that 100%, but I have a job at Derby, which is important to me, and I actually love that. He goes, I speak to people at United on a regular basis, so I'm sure if they were to come calling, it would have already happened. So I don't think he's in contention for anything this summer. But I think the next cycle of managerial change at United, fingers crossed, it's at least 3 years away, but it might not be. If it is, I actually think Rooney's name will be in contention for it at the end of that 3-year cycle. But there's a lot of things I want to see him go and achieve in that time. And actually, I still think I wouldn't mind it being the next one after that one. So maybe we're talking a 5 and 6 year sort of time to come to the boil for Wayne Rooney, where he can go and get some experience and go and make some things happen. So he is a young manager. He's been at the helm at Pride Park for 65 games. He's won 19, lost 27, which on paper is not impressive in the slightest for a Manchester United manager. But he isn't a Manchester United manager. He's a relegation-threatened, financially hampered manager of a team that's going to be lucky to stay up in one of the hardest divisions in European football. And you can argue that Rooney's record is far from exemplary, but I think this is looking at it without the framing of who and what Derby are all about. He's still learning his trade. He's still an absolute novice at what he's doing. He's also been thrust into probably the hardest managerial job out of the 92. Overcoming a 21-point deduction, as well as having one of the worst squads in the league, is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Now, is he being groomed to be the next United manager? I think he kind of alludes to the fact that he is speaking to people at United, but they're not having him just yet. Now, I've also mentioned just now, I would like to see him go and achieve some things. Well, what would that be? Now, I think winning promotion from the Championship, as difficult as it is, doesn't necessarily prepare you for challenging for the Premier League title. I think there are traits which are positive, obviously getting a group of people together, fashioning them into a winnable team that can then go and achieve sustained success over a consistent period of time so they can go and win a league, regardless of the division that you are in. If it's a competitive league especially, that is an achievement. That is certainly an achievement and a well done attaboy for that. But I think he needs to get one or two more clubs under his belt. He has to choose his moves extremely carefully, because a bad owner and a bad squad can absolutely decimate your reputation as a manager. A good manager can't turn shit into gold. A good manager can get maybe an extra 10 or 15% out of a squad. A bad manager can maybe take 10 or 15% away from a squad. But you can't turn shit into gold. So he has to choose his next job extremely wisely. And he has to maybe look at, do you know what? A perfect one, which I think is going to come off well, is Steven Gerrard has been fortunate enough that the Jack Grealish money was kind of spent in the summer. So they've got players that they've already brought in that haven't quite settled in yet. And they will settle in at some point. You would have thought at least half of them. Then they've had a very good January transfer window. And if they bring in Basuma in the summer, that's been 12-month, 3 windows of sensational buy-in from Aston Villa. If Steven Gerrard's able to keep his job for a couple of years, he's going to look like he's the catalyst for that, when in reality, a lot of it was down to the recruitment. Now, I know you need a crystal ball to know that a club's going to do that, but you have to go and try and find a club with the ambition that's going to allow you to bring in some good players. You might see a club that's expectations have changed, where they maybe spent well in the summer, it's got to October, November, they're not where they thought they would be, and they've got rid of their manager. But you know that they bought 4 or 5 or 6 good players in the summer, and you think, do you know what? Let me get on the phone to them. Are you listening? Are you guys willing to still spend? Yeah, we are. Yeah, we've still got 60, 70 million to spend in January, and we're going to spend again next summer. That's the club. You need to go and find a club that's like that. And Everton could have actually been that club. Everton's 11's pretty good. They've had some injuries to the first team squad. They've let some first team players go, but they're going to spend. I feel like they're going to spend money. And they've spent some money lately. So the squad is good. I think it just needs the right person to be able to take them to, and I don't think it's Frank Lampard, by the way. So that Everton job could definitely come back again. And that could definitely come back in a year, 18 months, 2 years' time. That might be the move for Wayne Rooney to make there and then make the move from Everton, potentially, to Manchester United, if he can hit some certain metrics. I'd like Manchester United managers to come in here with a level of success. The fact Wayne Rooney's played here is definitely a bonus. You can deny it all you want, but it is. And it will get him looked at more than anybody else on the outside, because you know how much Manchester United means to him. You know he's an Everton fan, but you also know how much Manchester United means to him as well. I think that you could be a real manager in Wayne Rooney, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked because I thought you wouldn't see some of the ingenuity in set pieces. I didn't think you would see some of the detail in his tactics, but we are. I think he's a long way off, probably at least 1, but maybe 2 jobs away. And I'd love to sit here and say, actually, I think he should probably go and manage abroad somewhere, really broaden his horizons, get used to maybe a different culture. But it's Wayne Rooney, isn't it? The fact he went to America was a bit mental in the first place to finish his playing career off. I just don't see him going to Spain or Germany or France or Italy and taking a managerial job where he's going to have to speak another language fluently. I just don't think it's in him. So he's probably going to find himself in the Premier League following the good job that he's done. Everton seems an absolute shoo-in for me. At which case, if he does a job at Everton and moves them back into top 6 contention, I think he's going to start getting touted for the next United job. And I don't think it's necessarily the worst idea I've ever heard. It's all going to depend on where United are at that time. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.